Pressure is not your ending, it is your formation. The moment you realize you cannot outrun this season. There is a moment most faith-based leaders know. The day finally ends, the building goes still, and the noise you outran comes back to find you. You sit in the late-night office with the glow of your screen on your hands, and you feel the weight you kept hidden behind competence. You are not failing because you feel it. You are human, and you are carrying more than you can carry alone. You can love Jesus and still feel stretched thin. You can serve people and still feel the ache of unanswered questions. You can lead with vision and still wake up at 2 a.m. wondering if you missed something that matters. Romans 5:3-4 does not try to make suffering sound noble. It tells you suffering can become meaningful, not because it is pleasant, but because God can use it to shape you into someone steady. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. Here is the emotional tension. You want to be joyful and steady, but the same pressure keeps pressing the same tender places, and it wears you down. So the question becomes personal. Will you let this season hollow you out? Or will you let God build something solid inside you while you wait? Joy that holds while it hurts. You probably understand what Romans 5:3-4 means. The hard part is living it in ordinary moments, when your mind races and your heart sinks, and there is no dramatic rescue scene. Joy in hard times is not a grin, and it is not denial. Joy is a decision to stay turned toward God when everything in you wants to fold inward. Paul is not praising pain. He is refusing to treat pain like the final chapter. He is saying suffering can become a place where God does real work, not the kind you post about, but the kind you live through. This is where one fresh emotional angle matters, especially for leaders. Sometimes the suffering is not just the pressure itself. It is the quiet fear that if you slow down, people will see you are tired, and then they will stop trusting you. You start believing you must stay strong alone. That is when joy feels impossible, because joy requires honesty, and honesty feels risky. So take a simple next step that fits real life. Tell God the truth without polishing it. Say, I do not like this. I do not know what to do. I feel afraid. Then choose one small act of trust that you can do today. Send the message you have avoided. Ask for wisdom before you answer. Close the laptop when you said you would. Take a walk and let your body breathe. You do not need to perform faith. You need to keep showing up with an honest heart. The craftsmanship of God under pressure. Romans 5:3-4 reads like a craftsperson describing the workbench. Suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces character. Character produces hope. This is not instant change. It is steady shaping. Craftsmanship always takes time. It also takes pressure. Not chaotic force, but careful work that turns rough edges into strength. Perseverance is the first tool God picks up. Perseverance is not stubborn grit. It is steady obedience in small moments. It is staying faithful when you do not feel rewarded. It is answering with patience when you want to snap. It is returning to prayer when you would rather distract yourself. It is doing what is right, not what is easiest. Then comes character. Character is not your public image. Character is the inner quality that holds when pressure leans in. It is what shows up when you do not get your way, when someone misunderstands you, when the timeline stretches longer than you planned. God uses perseverance to shape your reactions, your motives, and your integrity. Hope arrives last because hope grows in people who have watched God meet them in a long season. Hope is not wishful thinking. Hope is quiet confidence that God is still working, even when you cannot yet see the results. Pressure is not your ending, it is your formation. Cash flow pressure. Without losing your soul. Picture a late-night office. The hallway outside is empty, but your desk feels crowded. Your screen shows the cash flow report. Payroll sits on the calendar like a fixed point. Invoices that should have landed did not. A client pushed payment out again. You run the numbers and your stomach tightens because this is not theory. This is your people, your promises, and your name. This is where Romans 5 becomes practical. In this moment, you will be tempted to grab a quick fix that costs you more than money. You might be tempted to overpromise, to pressure a team member unfairly, to avoid a hard conversation, or to make a decision out of panic. Perseverance here looks like staying clear-headed when fear wants to drive. It looks like facing the facts without spiraling. It looks like having the hard conversation with the client in a way that is direct and respectful. It looks like cutting what needs to be cut without cutting your integrity. It looks like asking for wise counsel instead of isolating. Character here looks like refusing to use people as leverage. It looks like telling the truth to your team with calm and clarity. It looks like keeping your commitments as best you can while you adjust the plan. It looks like leading without shame, even when you feel exposed. Hope here looks like trusting that obedience is never wasted. Hope looks like making the next faithful move and believing God can provide what you need to keep walking. Not because you have a guarantee of ease, but because you have a God who does not leave when the numbers get tight. If you are in this kind of pressure right now, take one doable step within 24 hours. Write down the next 3 actions you will take. Make the call you have delayed. Set one boundary that protects your health and your home. Then bring the whole situation to God in plain words and ask for strength to do what is right. When character leads, people breathe easier. Leadership tension hides in plain sight. You need to stay present and decisive for others while you are still doing your own internal work with God. You cannot pause your responsibilities until you feel fully confident. People need you, and they need you to be steady. Romans 5 gives you a path that does not require pretending. Perseverance helps you stay consistent. Character helps you stay safe. Hope helps you stay calm. When you lead from character, relationships shift. You stop making other people pay for what you are carrying. You listen without rushing to defend yourself. You own your mistakes quickly. You speak truth without heat. You create space where others can be honest, too. This also touches purpose. God does not just care what you build. He cares who you become while you build it. Pressure exposes the gap between your gifts and your maturity, and God closes that gap with steady formation. That is not punishment. That is love. So here is a simple call to action you can live this week. Choose one relationship that has felt strained by your stress. Repair what you can. Say the words you have withheld. Ask forgiveness if you need to. Then choose one practice that keeps your soul grounded in this season. A quiet 5 minutes before you check messages. A short prayer before you walk into meetings. A hard stop at night so you can be present with your family. You do not have to fix everything. You have to take the next faithful step. Hope that rebuilds purpose at home and at work. Romans 5 ends with hope because God wants you to live with a steadiness that does not rise and fall with every outcome. Hope stabilizes you so you can lead with clarity instead of reactivity. Hope also connects your life and your work. You cannot keep them separate for long. Pressure eventually reveals who you are, not who you wish you were. But hope closes the gap because it brings your whole life back under God's care. Here is the invitation for today. Stop treating suffering like wasted time. Treat it like a workshop where God shapes you. Ask, what are you forming in me right now? Ask for strength to keep going. Let perseverance do its slow work. Let character deepen. Then choose hope as your posture, even if the circumstances do not change yet. Tonight, before you shut down the computer, sit with God for 5 honest minutes. Tell Him what you fear. Tell Him what you need. Then ask Him what faithfulness looks like tomorrow. And do that one thing first.